by the power of Grayskull.
These words before, but I'll teach you what they really mean. Go beyond! Plus!
Woo, and what's up, everybody? Welcome. If this is your first time here, this is Officer of the Goddamn Lost Channel. Woo! Charles, let's fuck that shit. Oh, yes. I'm gonna say this. Oh, trust me, I got my intro. I'll say my intro, for God's sakes. Man, I guess this is going to get a lot of people in their opinion and their geek shit. Because I do have to talk about, clothesline time. Clothesline. Come on, goddammit. Boom! Stan Henson style. I gotta talk about why. Not just some motherfuckers like skating uphill. But we gotta talk about Black Geekdom. Oh yeah, by the way. Now, we're going to talk about the joys and the pain of Black Geekdom. And a lot of people know about our July, or at least you should, if you're in Black Geekdom. And I was listening to a short of his about 3 harsh truths about Black, entertainment and geekdom. Dave Tao, who's in the building. Don't forget to share this damn thing. It's about Black nerdism. So we got starting off Big Mo. Big Mo Showtime. If you watch Big O, y'all get the reference. We got Fallout. Oh, this is going to be lit. You're damn right it will be. Woo! The co-host, ABM. I wanna be like Mike. What's up, Mike? Yeah, he's having fun. Walaikum salam, Philip. Walaikum salam. We got the Iceman, the Snowman. We got that soldier over there. We got Mello in the building. I actually like that movie. He beat the brakes off of Skeletor. We got Bay in the building. I guess the who got Dave Tao. Well, you get Mo in the building. Transformers, more than meets the eye. I gotta find that clip when it goes. Now, I'm gonna let Mr. July say his piece. Hopefully, y'all can hear me. Can y'all hear me? Give me a woo in the building. Give me a woo in the building. Testing. We got LAPD SWAT 1 in the building. Everybody should probably like it. I don't know why they mess with my damn numbers. Well, we got some people spying. Sure, what the fuck you spying on? But I'm gonna try to keep it down on it. And I do think that for some reason we do try to fight legacy, and we do narrow ourselves down when it comes to Black geekdom and creativity. But I'm gonna play Mr. July.
Now there's a conversation happening about Black characters in superhero universes, and most of that conversation is wrong. There are like 3 things that I want to discuss. Number 1, you're chasing legacy to a fault, and because of it, you never build the infrastructure that could carry original properties. This shows up in a few different ways. You look at the adoration and the love for characters that have been around for 60, 80 years, and you try to speed run getting to that level. That's why so many creators only look at the mainstream. That's why so much of the audience only looks at the mainstream. And that's why you find yourselves begging. Think about where the resources actually are. Your creative talent and your money are almost entirely tied up in things you don't own, or they're subsidized by companies that will never belong to you. And number 2, you only see legitimacy in white characters. Look at the characters that have been around forever in this genre. They're not just popular, they're stitched into the fabric of American culture to the point that most of their fans have never even read a comic book in their lives. That's the level that you are supposedly chasing. So the shortcut becomes obvious. Race swaps, clones, reskin, and then you justify it by saying it's a mantle or that race was never integral to the character anyway. Building something new, an original character who isn't a reskinned version of somebody else, is difficult. It's work. And number 3, you hamstring your characters and the universes that they live in by sort of turning them into these cultural statements instead of stories. Sometimes it's in the work itself, and other times it's on the press tour and the campaign around it. One of the more foolish things that Black American culture really convinced other Black Americans of is that everything has to be, quote, for the culture. That single idea has people rejecting originality and trying way too hard at the same time. You put yourself and your work inside these boundaries that nobody asked for. If you want mass appeal, you have to work with universal truths. That's the price of entry. Batman, Spider-Man, they didn't become 2 of the biggest properties on the planet by trying to be white. They were compelling characters who happened to be white in stories that connected with everybody from all walks of life. That's the recipe behind nearly every entertainment icon there is, from Goku to Superman. When there is something cultural in them, like you see out of the Eastern properties, it's folded into it tastefully. It's not the whole pitch. They're not simply just trying to alone make a statement. But with Black characters, you kneecap them on the way out the door. You make them unrelatable, shallow, boring.
I'm going to explain this in my own view. What's up, T. Collins? What's up, AB Media? I'm going to explain this because I'm creating my own book, and some of you have gotten the pleasure of reading it. Little parts that I've sent out. The average Black person, when they make a movie or book, they narrow themselves down into a freaking pencil-sized hole into just urban events. Like, Black people don't exist in different environments. Like, Black people do not travel. Like, we don't transcend even just hip-hop. For example, my character and the supporting characters are not even on Earth. They're in the omniverse, a multiverse. What's up, CJ? So you get a variety. The one thing that I always knock black entertainment is this. We want to be looked at and say have representation, but not every representation that we get is going to be hood. Are you following me? Check or hold, check or hold. If you're following me, say check. If you're not following me, say hold. Not everybody is a hood dude. Not everybody, not anytime soon, not yet. Not everybody comes from broken homes. What's up, Big Kev? So, not everybody plays basketball, football, and sometimes track. If you take a character like I did, my character, and you place him outside of just being black, he just so happens to have the skin. Remember this. There may be a difference in perception, but the perspective has to be universal at some point. For example, when Veterans Day come, how many different races and ages and male and females can literally celebrate Veterans Day? Can we all sit around the Applebee's or whatever insert restaurant here and eat for free and share old times? When you actually expand your story and actually have a character that can be felt generationally, racially, nationally, then you can open up and tell stories fundamentally. That a character who happens to appear to be Black American can see that someone like Hal Jordan or Clark Kent would never experience. It wouldn't even cross their mind because they don't have to live in that world. But you have to become universally accepted first. You have to go by the guidelines like Eric July said. The problem is black culture does not, and entertainment, especially black geekdom, we have a lot of style and flavor, yes. But when we're making characters that want to get notoriety, we have to touch the hearts and minds of people who may never have seen a black person in person in their life yet. That's one of the fundamental beautiful things and experiences about the United States military. At some point, you're all going to be treated like shit. And at some point, you're all going to have to work together for the common for the common cause and victory. And with that being said, and getting in the main thing about the U.S. military, it's one of the few rites of passages, especially for young boys, especially for young black boys, where you have to conduct yourself outside your normal confines. Now
there's a conversation happening about black characters.
Is it impossible to make a character? No. You just can't limit that character through urban environment experiences because not every black person has that. Not every black person wants to go through that. Not every black person is supposed to be Luke Cage or T'Challa. Let's just get that shit out there. And I know this is going to touch a lot of people. But one thing you want to do in creativity is explore that character's personality, their abilities, if they have any, their intuition, their grit, their determination. How do they see the world and how does the world view them? You can ask Lost. Talking to him on the phone and meeting him in person, oh, I really captured his character in my story. Very inquisitive, youthful, willing to learn, and he's earnest in who he is and not ashamed of it. And I do have to say, hopefully Sandog will show up soon. I sent them the link.
The superhero universes.
Now,
and
I'm just going to say, that if you're going to do any type of creativity, any type of writing, one of the fatal flaws is that you don't get enough exposure in your real life to tell the story in the fictional one. A little bit of tactical pause. A little bit of tactical pause. Quintessentially, there's going to be growth within you as a creator and growth between the character. What direction do you want the audience to see this character grow into? Think about it. Who would ever think a space monkey man would influence millions of people to watch anime? Listen to this trope in fiction. Child of a foreign area escapes great disaster in a vessel, gets rescued by a benevolent couple, raised up with a code and certain moral values, grows up to have great powers, responsibility, protector of people, and justice. Hell of a quote, hell of a trope, isn't it? And is a guiding light for mankind to follow. What characters did I just name from that trope right there? Come on, throughout history. Come on, let's make it a good one. Let's make it a good one. What trope did I give you? What characters did I talk about throughout history? I want to see if anybody's paying attention right now. Am I coming across clear? What characters did I give you that trope? Do I need to say it again? Let me see. He said Super Duper Man. He said Goku and Superman. Mike said Goku, Superman, Lion-O. Well, He-Man never had to do that. He did in the movie, but not in the canonical series. Okay, come on, folks. Come on, folks. I didn't say just comics. I said history. I'm giving you a wink, wink, nod, nod with that one. Just history. Wink, wink, nod, nod. What's up, nerd Charles? King nerd to you. Emperor nerd. Okay, you want me to repeat it? I'm going to repeat the trope again. A baby escapes their native land or area or planet from a great disaster or danger in a vessel, in or on a vessel, gets rescued and adopted by benevolent parents, raised with a certain code of justice, morality, grows up to have great powers and abilities, become beacons of light and hope for humanity, and defends humanity against threats. What tropes throughout history did I just give you? Well, Hercules was not Hercules, because if you look at his origin, he was a demigod and he killed two snakes in his crib. And this is how you know your tropes are timeless. Does anybody remember the story of Moses? Sounds really similar to the origin of Superman and Goku and even the story of Jesus, right? It's a great trope. What did Moses go through? What was Jesus going through? Are these stories that transcend time and memorial? And that's one of the things I'm bringing up for an example. That when we have creations for Black people, if we want this comic book unit, television show, and whatnot to sell, when it comes to Black geekdom, we have to make it transcend even our culture. I want you to think about this. Look at the show Martin. I didn't know the show Martin was that popular until your white coworkers start talking about it. Look at hip hop. Did it transcend Black people? Yes. This little music genre from the late 70s, early 80s is worldwide. Look at jazz, look at blues, look at soul, look at the dying stuff of R&B. But yet, let's think about it. You got guys like Tyler Perry, who's a Trekkie, and he would love to make black sci-fi. But what's the problem, folks? Would black sci-fi sell to black people? And unfortunately, the answer is no. If it's not trendy, if it's not popular, unless they got a name brand, insert here, not going to support it. What we will support, insert your gang movie right here. Insert your cantankerous, loud talking, smart aleck, curmudgeonous black woman or guy dressed up as a black woman in a movie right there. The black experience, like any other race of people's experience, is about as unique, if not more so, than what anybody can actually comprehend. What's up, Chance? What's up, Knight? With that being said, I'm 44 years old. Mello's about what, 22, 23? Or about to be 23 in October? What's up, Mel? I want you to think about it. He grew up in a much more accepting time of anime and comic books than I did. Trust me, us geeks in our 40s, it's a lot different than the geeks in their 30s, and damn sure different than the geeks in their 20s and teens now. In the 80s and 90s, you got into a fight if somebody stole your comic book. As a matter of fact, video gaming was considered childish. And don't get me wrong, I salute BlurCon and everything else and love it. Because God knows I love scantily dressed women, and my favorite comic book character and anime characters get up in costumes. But how many of us are going to be real fans about this? You're right, Mel. That's the statement that pays. Us 40-year-olds, kids, had to fight for the right to like geek shit. And there's still a stigma in the black community today. It's more acceptable. Yes, I'll give you that. But come on. The one thing I have to blame the black community, you have a lot of brilliant writers and artists and actors. Why don't we support them the way we would support DC, Marvel, Image? Don't say you don't support Image because everybody was watching Walking Dead and Invincible. Stop it. You were supporting Spawn. Stop it. With that being said and everything being acknowledged, I want you to think about this. And Sandog made a very good point the other day. And trust me, Dragon Con took some growing, didn't it? You could say that service members were really the first Americans to take martial arts. I'm pretty sure you had some geeks and nerds there because in order to understand something, you have to be an otaku, in a sense, to take it up, especially if you're in a foreign land. I want you to realize one of the biggest flaws is that we want to see representation, but we want to see a narrow, defined, finite view of it. I'm going to give an example. Everybody loved Family Matters. Well, kids in the 80s, because of the Karate Kid, blew up, and plus you had a lot of ninja stuff. You had a lot of Chuck Norris movies and a lot of Kung Fu movies and stuff, and American Ninja come out. Let's look at Family Matters for a minute. Let's look at the Steve Urkel character. It's such a real, because I'm sorry for some of my new viewers. Sometimes we do use language. We're adults. It's such a fucked up archetype in many ways because you just told kids who had issues with their eyes and had to wear spectacles, glasses, that if you automatically wear glasses, you're a socially awkward nerd. You automatically told people it's not cool to be smart. How long has that trope carried in the black community? Somebody give me a timeline. And that right there, Big Kev, will all credit the millennial blacks. We literally had to take the bumps and the bruises, the fights, and a lot of stuff that even white people didn't even do. We made being geeky and nerdy and fans of comic and anime cool. Now back to it. How many times has the trope in the black community been if you're intelligent and if you're studious, you're not cool? And don't say that it didn't hurt us as a people because it's one of the founding pillars of our culture in current time. And then we wonder why, when it comes to the education, especially of black boys, only 8% of our boys in the 8th grade can read on level. You wonder why you don't have as many black boys going to college or trade schools. You wonder why that a lot of black girls are starting to get a lot of hit or miss. Look at the cultural surroundings. Look what's in our music. Look what's in our entertainment and movies. And I really start to say the biggest part, it really started was when the Steve, especially in the black community, the Steve Urkel trope. You know, it was an over embellishment of the L7, the square. And this is the bad part. Even his own parents didn't like him, which has occurred in the black community, which shows they didn't develop him. They didn't believe in him. And look how it carried on from just media into culture. You recall Four Eyes, Urkel, all this crazy stuff. God forbid you actually studied and you went to a predominantly black or all black school. God forbid. Here's the issue with that. You made it so hard. We made it so hard in the community that we can't have a Peter Parker. A lot of people didn't like Mr. Terrific in the beginning because Mr. Terrific is like the smartest man in DC. Think about it, right? How many people love Storm, but you never wrote Marvel, emailed them, or even sent a smoke signal to say, hey, we want to see her prominent in her own comic. She has her own comic now. But how long have people said they love Storm? Wolverine has been around, what, 50 years? And he's one of the most visually seen comic book characters of all time. And he was not even originally an X-Men. He started out at what? Incredible Hulk 181? He was an Incredible Hulk adversary. You're a Poindexter, nerd, geek. Think about it. Imagine you're a smart kid, you're studious, you have a gift, and every movie you look at the so-called nerdy kid, you know, that's the term, acting white, because you spoke with the now King's English. You were not the favorite. That trope was disastrous on so many levels. Never got the girl, never got respected, often, quite often bullied, disrespected, and never appreciated for his intellectual prowess unless it was an object to be used. Not utilized, but used. But yet, in the late 80s and early 90s, you've seen a plethora of black movies and shows where, for example, Boys in the Hood and others, where we pretty much glorify gang life. We pretty much made prison and not going into trades, college, or the military the rite of passage into manhood. I'm saying we because that's culture. Think about it. I can personally say if I was a white guy at 44 years old with the background of just in the first 6 months of the Iraq War, I had 354 missions of direct action engaging the enemy, convoy security and rescue, house and building raids, reconnaissance, and humanitarian missions. Excuse me. And I did an entire 18-month tour. Come back to my city of Baltimore. Was involved in the law enforcement community for 20 years. A little bit over now, if you count the VA. Once I left the Baltimore Police Department, I started Black Lion Security Firm, where I've actually mentored young black men into getting their handgun permit, teaching them armed security, executive protection, and other skills where they graduated from either going into police departments and or the military. If I was a white man, Asian man, Arabic, Native, or Hispanic man, I want you to think about this. What would my community call me if I was white or any of those other ethnicities? Let's even put more on the cake. I'm going to open up about good old Charles. Because I'm normally a naturally quiet guy, believe it or not. In third grade, and I remember this vividly because me and my mom laughed at it because I still have the paperwork for this. A male black teacher was concerned because I was ultra quiet. I was real reserved into myself. I would like to draw on notebook paper or whatever paper I had because, I finished my schoolwork early. So he suggested, be careful who you let people suggest your kids by, that I should be seen by professionals and because it might be a mental illness or some type of learning disability. Okay. Went there for about a week or two. Come back, and we found a finding that in third grade, I was capable of doing eighth, about ninth grade science, 10th grade social studies and history, and I was on ninth to 11th grade English. So, because I'm in a different culture, I'm treated as something wild, but once again, with that on the top, let's put some more on the top. When I went to my school in high school, Lake Clifton, in 10th grade, I lost my first match, but I won a championship my first year, and I won three more, and I was all city, all metro, top five in the state of Maryland. I even got a bronze medal in Germany for freestyle wrestling. If I was a white dude with everything I've just told you about myself, what would I be called? I'm waiting for everybody's answer. We got 21 people. Hit the like button, hit the cash app, please. What would they call me? But yet, when we look at today's media, does the so-called nerd get glorified? Does the so-called L7 get glorified? Is he galvanized into greatness? I want you to think about this for a second. What am I called in my own community that I've actually still protected? I'm called a sellout. Some people call me a coon, even though I've done more for black people and causes than people can imagine. I've told you, I've been to the Million Man March in the eighth grade. I'm still part of black societies and clubs. I'm a member of the Art Social Club on North Avenue in North and Pensy, which is a very prestigious club for a lot of black guys, especially black veterans. So let's really look at this. When you made shows like Power, and the only time you could show your brilliance and intellect if it's in nefarious ways, what is that telling the youth? Look at what you support. You support drama, you support criminality, you support lawlessness, but you'll never tell the story of the gifted brothers. You'll never tell the story of the people, despite their environment, in spite the fact that they had no help. That we narrow ourselves down to the only way you can have a good time is if you're a baby boy, literally a homosexual. You don't tell the story of the black military personnel. You don't tell the story of the black paramedic or EMT. You don't tell the story of the young black rookie cop. You don't tell the story of the young college kid who was given a scholarship proving himself. So how the hell can geekdom and the black community survive and become worldwide, especially for creators, when you don't even support your own shit? We don't believe a black story unless it's a single mother, abusive father, or husband. We don't. But yet, we want to know why there's not enough creators for black culture. Because we like to keep our shit very narrow. But last time I checked, if it don't make dollars, then it doesn't make sense. Think about it. You go to Tubi. Every Tubi movie is really much the goddamn same. We have, look at the Black Manosphere. We have artists, computer graphic designers, writers, creators that we can come together and form up like Voltron. Yes, nerd reference. I forgot for you 90s babies. Form up like the Megazord, which is a knockoff of Voltron. Um, and we can put out our own media. But we're going to ask this one question. Where were you when Milestone Comics kicked off? Milestone has a resurgence. Static is part of the Teen Titans now. Why aren't you buying Teen Titans like a motherfucker? Why aren't you supporting black comic book creators and content creators? And this is the reason why I say we ought to go to places like Baltimore Comic Con and salute a lot of these black writers and artists and creators. We should go to BlurCon because it's black owned and salute and support a lot of those black creators, barbers, skateboarders, video gamers, dancers, athletes, trainers, and so on, and all these other cons to support our people. The only way you're going to see representation is when you represent with your green, the color that counts. Check or hold. Are we checking or are we holding? Y'all following? Say check. If you're not, say hold. The reason why you don't have a static movie is because you haven't demanded a static movie. I want you to, matter of fact, let's back up for a second. How come we don't have Icon and Rocket? And I'm going to tell you a little theory that I have in my head. I don't think a lot of people are ready to see a man who's equal in power with Superman, who existed since the time of slavery, to be conservative with black skin. I don't think black America's ready for that. And we're not saying coonish, we're saying conservative because Rocket was very liberal. I don't think America's ready for that because that's a real unique perspective that I think a lot of people are not ready for. Hit the cognac and cigar fund on the Cash App if you're feeling entertained. I want you to think about this. How would black America perceive a man with the powers and some even greater than Superman? Did you know that because of Icon's race, the Green Lantern Corps has no jurisdiction over him? He literally has diplomatic immunity from them. And he's not rainbow. He's highly intelligent and he stands on business. Are you ready for that type of guy who does not bleed to a gynocentric narrative? And you're right, Michael. Most blurs are not really nerds, they're just casually nerdy. They're popular nerdy. You're not this is how you know you're nerdy. Did you build your own PC? Do you go to tournaments to play video games? Did you follow shit like Naruto from day 1 to day 700? Did you do you have a stack of comic books that you read? Do you have a character that you love despite his level of power? You actually read a few story arcs? Did you ever have to go to a dollar store bin? We're not talking about the chain. We're talking about the mom and pop store where they had 3 comic books for $1, and that's how you started your collection. I'm not saying the young ones have to do that now, but I'm just saying. Do you really like the genre, or do you like because it's popular? Do you like it because you get to dress all sexy and cute, or do you like it because you were born into it and you went through the struggles of it? I'm not hating either way, but I'm just asking a question. Because when you think about it, everybody knows I'm a big Superman fan. But why? The powers caught you as a kid, but the character kept you as an adult. I'm going to say it again because that was bars. The powers caught your eye as a kid, but the character kept you as an adult. That's how I know when people used to say, Superman's born. What story did you read? You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. But I like Superman versus the Elite. You're talking about 1 or 2 issues? Was turned into a whole movie? That was the issue of the goddamn decade. And it was voted in as such. A lot of young men got into comics. You know why? Because of their fathers or their uncles. And I'm pretty sure it happened to a few young ladies as well, but definitely for a lot of young men. And it's escapism at the greatest level. Because people forgot that, you watch certain shows and especially for young boys, you had to be brave. There was this one Muffet movie when Kermit the Frog was actually a sheriff, and this desperado came into town, and he said, "Meet me at high noon." Even though Kermit was scared, witless, the most important thing was he showed up because he couldn't let the town down. That's the definition of a hero. Not tombstone courage, but bravery in the face of fear. We don't talk about that anymore. We don't talk about the real messages. The real messages isn't about your sexuality, because according to people, love is love, right? Because guess what? A good character, whether they're straight or gay, does not matter, right? Male or female. One of my favorite comic book characters of all time is Wonder Woman. One of my favorite female characters of all time is She Hulk, especially the John Burns run, which Marvel did a great job ruining. People don't remember G Force, Galaxy Rangers. I mean, we have to look at why Thundercats was so pivotal. Imagine having the body of an adult with the mind of a teenager, a young teenager at that. And you're given a weapon that is not only universally powerful, but if it gets destroyed, you can destroy your entire race. And you're the king of this race. But guess what? What's one of the most pivotal episodes of the Thundercats? The Anointment Trials. How come we, as people, do not reenact that in our movies, media, cinema, video games? Because one, I'm going to say the tough part out loud. We cater too much to our women because our men are too cheap to put their dollars out. I said it. I said it. I'm sorry, I said it. I'm not trying to be sexist, but I'm just being truthful. We cater too much to our women that, guess what? Men are too cheap. Men are too cheap. And I don't like race swapping because guess what? Make a character that's unique to themselves. You're telling me from all the unique stories we had from A1 Day 1 in Africa to now, we don't have enough uniqueness to use different unique people in literature? Come on now. Let me open this up, man. Hit the Cash App. Support the Cognac and Cigar Fund. I can't use the Sandwich Fund. Dr. Thunder kind of got that on wrap. But I want you to think about it. You could have made a black superheroine movie, but if you do it right, if she goes through a struggle that everybody universally knows, that she had to earn her title, everybody will love her. Why do you think Ray didn't work? Because Ray was a Mary Sue. She didn't earn shit. Automatically, you could go toe to toe with a trained rogue Jedi in one day. Just picking up a damn saber. No. Not even the greatest goddamn Jedi of all time, Luke Skywalker, in his first battle with Darth Vader, came out unscathed. Get the entire fuck out of here. And I'm supposed to believe she changes her name to fucking Skywalker to do what? To lynch off of this guy's name? Is this what we doing, folks? We at least, we at least could be more creative than that. And if I was a female, a woman, I would be insulted by this. And yeah, that's the bad part. The whole goddamn time she was a goddamn Palpatine. So you infiltrated the name Skywalker. Some of the worst goddamn writing ever. You feel me? That shit was bullshit. Hey, what's up, Big Kev?
Oh, not much, man. What's up, Charles?
Let me go.
Oh, all right. Well, what's up, everybody? In the chat here. Hope you guys are enjoying your day so far. Looks like
You.
we're fit here.
Fuck it. Let me just change my device real quick.
All right. While he's doing that, I do want to ask you guys. You guys been watching any good shows, reading any good books, anything like that lately? Yeah. What's up, Tay Sleepy? Yep. TGIF. Yes, you were right. Bucket 886. Yep. Thank God it's Friday. So here, while he's doing that here, I'm going to be. Excuse me. Just going to be checking the comments for you guys here.
Start spreading the news.
Hey, what's up, Pick? What's up, Nameless?
What's up? Oh man, we are joined by a special presentation and guests. Oh, two of my guys. We got Bay, the common sense, and we got that ninja over there, the nameless protagonist. Woo! And oofs into a knee bar.
What's going on?
Not much. Not much.
And Mello, if you want to bring your young nerdy ass up, come on. Which he did. And we
Yeah,
got
nigga, I was already on top of that.
Yeah. Hey, speaking about supporting black content creators, I was reading this this like almost like this like manga inspired comic. It's called like Clock Striker, man. It's actually really good. It's actually really good. Yeah, it's about just like 12-year-old.
I gotta ask you, Mello, did I ever send you a part of my the story I'm writing?
No, you did not.
Oh shit, I gotta send it to you. I'll probably send it to you through Facebook Messenger. It's a lot easier that way. It's interesting. I'll let you get the synopsis of all my people.
Oh wow.
I'll send that to you. But I do agree with Mr. July and his content. One, you are fighting legacy. Two, you narrow yourself down culturally. Like, think about it. I could literally write a comic book story about every goddamn person on this panel right now, just by what you do and just what people know you as. But once again, I have to understand that there's not too many people when it comes to English writing and literature who can actually read or write and how to know what a prepositional phrase is anymore because we downgraded our educational system, which hurts a lot of our creativity.
No.
We don't even do music and the arts like we used to, which is a goddamn shame. But then we wonder why, when you have arts and music, you also elevate the level of intellectual prowess and creativity, i.e., sciences, and you create innovations. Tell me, check or hold for all you non-military guys. Check or hold. Everybody's checking. Boss said my parents will refuse to buy me comic books. They saw it as a waste of money, but thankfully my school and local library always had Amazing Spider-Man on hand.
Yeah. Um.
You know what? I got
Oh.
to say this real quick. I'm going to give y'all the floor. Sometimes me and my parents get on. We love each other, but we get on each other's nerves sometimes. But more so, we love each other and take care of each other more than. I say this about my parents. That was really cool. One birthday, I had to be about 9 years old. My parents actually ordered this block of 300 fucking comics and also gifted me a comic book I should not have had at 9, 10 years old. You know what that comic was called?
What?
The Dark Knight Returns. If you read the Dark Knight Returns graphic novel, little kids should not read that. I was loving it. I learned what a fascist motherfucker was, though, but it was cool. It was cool because they saw it as reading. As long as he's reading, as long as he's being creative and he's not being destructive, hey, have at thee. But when black parents see comics as a waste of time and not development into their child's psyche, that's wrong. I'm not saying that all parents are wrong, but that's wrong. But who wants to start first? Who wants to start first?
Can
Oh.
I touch on that, what you just said, Charles, real quick? I ain't gonna be long.
Go ahead.
A lot of parents want their children to be carbon copies of them.
Mm,
So because you're not interested in comics, then your kid shouldn't be. And it's like you
mm.
said, what difference does it make? They're fucking reading.
Yeah,
We live in an era where under 10% of black boys read on grade level.
Yeah.
That's why it was always important for kids to know how to read. My grandmother, she married my grandfather. My grandfather from deep south, Jim Crow, Alabama. He was born in 1913. He never went to school. He never learned how to
mm,
read. So my grandmother was always putting a book in my hand and making me read it. I was reading before I started school.
yeah.
You know what I mean? I would go to Woolworths. Charles, you remember Woolworths?
Mine
They
was
would have
free.
comic books in that month. They would have like a bag of comic books for $1, 50 cents, some shit.
Yeah. Remember when the mom and pop dollar store in Hollandtown on Eastern Avenue. That's how I started a lot of my collections.
Most of my stuff came from Woolworths on Greenmount. No, that's 33rd, excuse me. Yeah, Greenmount 33rd.
Okay.
Either
Yeah.
that or
Alrighty.
right there on St. Paul and 25th Street. That used to be a 7-Eleven back in the day with the
Yep.
the spinny rack.
Yep. They had every 7-Eleven had a comic book rack back in the day. I got a lot of I'm a Church Square boy, so you know the downtown
I'm not
locker room
here.
in
My
Church
book.
Square. And you know the Church Square used to be a Rite Aid, but now it's a downtown locker room. It used to have a section for comic books. But go ahead. Who wants to get into this conversation? Go ahead, Ben.
Oh, I know Big Kev wanted to say something, but when he's done, I got a few points I want to get into that's related to the video you talked about earlier.
Okay,
Oh.
cool. Big Kev, go ahead.
In fact, I'll actually just let you go first, Nameless, and then I can just go in after you. So yeah, I'll pass the floor to you.
All right. Firstly, to the chat and the instructors on the panel. Os.
Oos.
What's
The first point that was made, I interpreted it as an understanding that when it comes to the geekdom and so-called blurred cultural subculture, really is what I have to call it. The problem is, just like with so many other things, when you prefix it with this word black, it has a interdependent relationship with this word white. So it immediately becomes not something that's original in and of itself, but it's a juxtaposition. It's the same way like you're trying to explain Wolverine without the X-Men. Wolverine is a byproduct of the X-Men, even though he's part of the greater Marvel universe. Using this as a direct illustration, there's not a lot you can do with black independently without implying white, which by de facto gives white greater inertia because then everything gets juxtaposed and compared to it. And predominantly the model that's used to understand that juxtaposition is usually in the form of critical theory or legacy Frankfurt School / Marxist ideology, what we're now calling civil rights in this modern era, and its ideological genealogy in the form of intersectional feminism, etc. What this has done is it's turned a lot of our involvement in fiction to depend on the same body of water that everybody else is drinking from. The only difference is we lose the conversation because commodification has entered the equation at a much more aggressive level. So what I mean by that, and this is me coming from the video game space. So think MMORPGs, RPGs in general. A lot of those games where you make your own characters. So it goes real deep into the lore. I'm also coming from the tabletop RPG environment. So think Dungeons and Dragons, Wizards of the Coast games, stuff from Hasbro, Magic the Gathering. We did a lot of that stuff in the military. It's actually where I learned how to play a lot of that stuff. So what they've done really since the late 90s in particular, and getting into the mid 2000s and crescendoing around COVID, is they've commodified the idea of fantasy as a whole. And that extends into greater fiction. And the trend is to make it as marketable to as many people as possible. Oftentimes, it's done at the expense of potentially original ideas. So if you take a look at games like Overwatch and you see a lot of the characters that get introduced, the tone is different from a game like Gears of War or Halo from what you saw historically.
Yep.
There are whole corporate metrics now that go out of their way to grade characters that are introduced into their lore using an inclusion and diversity gradient.
Diversity.
Yep, the ESP score. Yep, the ESP score.
So it preferentially favors anything that would show up in a conversation related to Title VII in the Civil Rights Code post 1964. So we're talking about protected classes. That means anything female on the alphabet spectrum. Age is taken into consideration. Obviously, ethnicity. There are a myriad of things that are placed ahead of that. And if you so much as have a character that's heterosexual, for example, in male, that is going to rate lower on priority as far as getting them included in a lot of IPs that would be potentially seen as a black male character that's put forward there. Which means oftentimes in a lot of the general mainstream content that's put out, you get these tropes that are recycled because unironically, they're projecting the same stereotypes because at the end of the day, that's what people buy. It's sort of like the hip hop phenomenon or paradox, where even though it started as a mirror into the demographic that was here classified as black, the main economic consumers of it were individuals that were everybody but people classified as black. And it's not even by a little bit, by an overwhelming amount, including and not limited to the consumption of the product the creation of the product when it comes to the mastering phase, and most critically, the distribution. So these are all points that the video was low-key highlighting. Fundamentally, this is running through the same problems we run into when it comes into individuals classified as black here in America, mobilizing money for any reason other than something connected to church, or really, I'm going to say church is the only way we were historically organized in a way that's unified. And we see how predatory a lot of that has become. The bottom line is we don't have a muscle memory of engaging in original content that doesn't involve us wedging ourselves into something already existing as an American identity. We enter from a position of attempting to gain inclusion without acquiring leverage first. And that's really that's probably our greatest point of critical failure, because the irony is, thanks to organizations like the Writers Guild, a lot of the information, a lot of the ideas that they come up with in the first place are copy and paste things that originally came from us anyway. We just run into the patent problem of learning how to profit from it, leverage our intellectual presence with it all, market it and support it once it is, unless it's coming from, I'm going to say, a political angle, that black is political angle, which is very specific. And instead of, and I'll end on this, instead of having characters, I'll rather say we emphasize characters that are black, and they're being black or whatever it is on that spectrum modality that is corporatized becomes essentially the core of their character. We would have more success and have found more success having characters that are written well, that are great, who happen to be black. For some reason, the people who would and could do this are not in control of the microphone. Well, go ahead.
Yeah. So going back to what the nameless protagonist said, and I was actually doing that, because I watch a lot of stuff on the media and stuff. I especially watch this channel called like Monte Sensei, where basically, and here's how I can explain it, right? When it comes to, quote unquote black, male geeks and whatnot, especially like the millennials, late Gen X millennials, early Gen Z and whatnot. Basically, like, kind of similar to how, like, we removed a lot of this negative stigma around martial arts films for Western audiences in like the 70s and stuff, and like the boomers and stuff. We're running into the same problem now when it comes to like anime and manga and video games and stuff like that, from like the 90s, like the 2020s, during the COVID era, where whenever something that's like, whenever like a geeky hobby or whenever something that's considered, geeky or whatnot becomes popular amongst, so-called black men here in America, there's immediately followed behind it is this wave of basically these like fun policing, I call them basically like these like morality police, especially from the left, that basically come through and they basically just take all the fun out of it. You have the people who do all this corporate meddling. They try to appeal to everybody and it ends up appealing to nobody. And basically things become so watered down that, it loses the identity of what it already was in the first place. And that's pretty much, the crisis of consciousness that we're having right now. That's why you see so many, commercial and critical flops when it comes to like, Marvel and DC and whatnot, is because, going back to what Nameless said, I'm like, these aren't talented people that are writing these stories. These are people that are either, corporate shills, or people that are just like, virtue signaling drifters writing these stories. You know what I mean? Like, they're not people that are actually talented writers.
Well, wait, look at what I put in the chat there. To your point, I wanted to really emphasize that is an example of one of the gradients they use to create exactly what you're talking about. And no, they're not writing originally. They're following a commodification scale.
Yep.
So this is systemic and algorithmic in nature. So I want to separate it from an emotion or feeling thing. Like, at the core of it all, this is intentional and deliberately designed to extract as much money as possible, as quickly as possible, and move on to another topic at the expense of the very identity they claim to be trying to include.
And then many times, many times, it even fails to do that. This like overly commodification, because as the saying goes, something that appeals to everyone appeals to no one. You're starting to see that right now with like um Avatar: The Last Airbender, Star Wars, Halo. You know what I mean? Marvel and DC and stuff like that. Things that were iconic. Western IPs basically losing favor with the casual audience precisely because like you said, these people that come through, with the private equity and whatnot, they do all this corporate meddling, and they end up ruining the very thing that made it popular in the first place.
Don't talk about Star Wars like that.
You know
You
what's
know
funny
what?
about that? You know what's funny about that? I'm gonna give after I say this, you got the floor, Bay. Then we're gonna go Bay, Mello. If anybody else wanted after that, let me know. I'm gonna say
Yo,
this. I'm gonna say, what's up, Captain Jack? Meet me down by the railroad track with that 40 in your hand.
Love
Lord
that.
knows.
I'm
Sand
sick
Dog
and
don't know
tired of
how to
these
do
goddamn
math,
cadences.
man.
All right.
Yeah.
Listen, we got more. We got our boots got more time than you, Pilgrim. You're gonna listen to these goddamn cadence. And
Motherfucker, my
salute because
boost done
he's
seen some
actually
shit. God damn it.
shit. Not as much as
Mhm.
me and the old captain have.
Old captain,
we
I'm
we
gonna go
we
ahead and salute to you just because of the rank, but outside of that, nah, fuck that.
Big now?
I'm tired of the cadences.
and this is one of the things I have to say. I don't mind certain demographics and certain things. Like, guess what? One of the things I hated that Nameless talked about was when you had the Mary Sueism. You
Yep.
have the you have the politicized issue of characters. One of my favorite female heroines growing up was what? She-Ra, Princess of Power, the twin sister of He-Man. The quintessential episode that if anybody wants to see it on YouTube is the Stone and the Sword, where she had to earn back the powers of She-Ra to go rescue Bo. Stories like that, any man, any culture will respect because using she's not trying to sex her way to the top. She's using her ingenuity, her skills, her wits, her ruthlessness, like a man would. She doesn't have to be a man, but she has to use her wits, like anybody trying to survive or get through a task. When you create characters where the universe bends to their will or bends into their favor, that's a Mary Sue. We don't
Yep.
even like guy characters where, okay, this guy's not struggling.
Right. Where he just
Why do you
doesn't
think
struggle
people
with anything. Right.
say that part again?
As I said, where he just doesn't struggle with anything. He's just
Mm-hmm.
overpowered from the end. From the beginning to the end. Yep.
Exactly. Because even Saitama, One Punch Man, is
Yep.
not supposed to be taken literal. He's a joke character.
Yep. Yep.
What happened? He became depressed. He
yeah.
became non-involved. He's lethargic. He's like
Bored. Yep.
nonchalant.
Yep.
He's
Yep. He's
bored.
bored. Bored.
Men without
Yep.
challenge are bored. Okay?
Mhm.
This is the reason why motherfuckers been waiting almost 20 years for GTA 6.
Yep.
We forget that we took combat sports or learned combat sports. Why? Because we knew in order to learn how to kick some ass, you got to go through the crucible of getting your ass kicked.
Mhm.
Why is basic such a great thing that all the veterans could talk about? Because everybody know what a smoke session is. A good old fashioned ass whooping. Not a oh, you do about 510, 530 push-ups and you're done. No, we're gonna have your ass baking.
Yep.
When your drill sergeant come out there and he got smoke coming out of his goddamn ears and his campaign hat floating above him, half left face, Front lean and rest position. Ooh,
Damn
I
it.
got you, bitch.
Yep.
You know what did they say? What did they say? Smoke them if you got them, baby. Because baby, I got you.
Yep.
It's because guess what? You have generations, no matter what race, no matter what gender, can relate to that. Like, yo, that motherfucker smoked us like a pack of coolers, yo. We did some stupid shit. And matter of fact, shit, especially if you're a Fort Benning guy, summer in Fort Benning is a bitch. It's a summer in Fort Benning treats you like an ex-wife with an axe to grind. I mean, that bitch was Tiana Taylor. I remember we had to do PT 3 o'clock in the fucking morning because it was like already 90. Like, god damn. Like, and then we had you gotta understand that's the home of the infantry motherfuckers. Our sergeant major in basic was 5'5", airborne ranger who smiled. You could look at his eyes and was like, I bet you, if sometime in your life, one of your favorite hobbies was lessening the population of Earth, wasn't it?
Yep.
And he did. I mean, he had legs that looked. He looked like he was built like the white version of Barry Sanders.
Yep.
Nothing but legs. Could jump out of a goddamn plane without a parachute and land fine. That's how thick his legs were.
Yeah.
Smiled all the time.
Said, the guy who looks like a math teacher, or is the guy in the military that looks like a math teacher or an accountant, is like the worst guy you could possibly ever run into because of that.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. They had a guy. They had a guy on Delta Force. Looked like a goddamn scientific goober, but was one of the deadliest motherfuckers to walk the earth. That's the beautiful thing about storytelling and masculinity that we're talking about.
Yep.
You take that glasses wearing motherfucker, you put him in the black community, he's a nerd. But among his community, he's one of the most respected soldiers on earth. You don't cross him because you might not make it back. But it goes back into what we say about this culture. But go ahead, Bay. I talk to you that much.
You're fine. It's your show. I was just thinking about back around 2015 when they did that god awful Ghostbusters movie that I couldn't even get through half of it.
That movie doesn't exist.
Say what?
That movie doesn't exist.
Yeah. So I was trying to tell, and I started noticing the culture shift. And I was trying to tell some blurs on Facebook back when Facebook groups were popping. I said, hey, look, man, like they're screwing up these movies. They're making them female centric, well, gynocentric, and they're filling them with Mary Sue's. They didn't want to believe me. So fast forward, here we are now. Matter of fact, I have to be honest. I was a huge Star Wars fan. And then I saw The Force Awakens. And when I saw it the first time, it was captivating. It was Star Wars. Oh, we ain't had a Star Wars movie since what? 82?
03.
Yeah, 83. Long time. So here we are. I'm watching the movie. The first time I was all captivated, but I thought it was some scenes that troubled me. Rey beating Kylo, to her taking the lightsaber or whatnot, even though we were told that Finn was going to be force sensitive, and you had him in the trailer with the lightsaber, so you were thinking that, all right, we about to see a brother rock as a Jedi. I mean, no, I'll take it back. I forgot about the prequels. We did see the prequels. I take that back. Mm-hmm. We ain't seen a brother rock a lightsaber since Samuel Jackson, and we know Samuel Jackson was a bad mofo, especially in the Clone Wars. So to see a former trooper being a slave, based on the storyline, how it was going in the movie, to find out that he was a Jedi and he was finna try to, his Force Awakens, and he was gonna be a badass and be the lead throughout the movie, that turned out to be a major letdown. It was just typical Disney racism where the black, sweaty, cowardly, bug-eyed, ignorant black man chasing after the white chick. You know, they did the same thing with Samuel Jackson in the what was that movie? What was that movie with Carol Danvers? Help me out.
A movie that doesn't exist, Captain
Carol
Marvel too.
Danvers.
Oh, Captain Marvel.
Yeah, the Miss Marvel movie. Right. I gave it a chance. Despite my better judgment, I gave it a chance. And instead of him chasing after her, being the sweaty, scary Negro, chasing after her, she was replaced by that orange cat. Do y'all remember that movie?
Yeah.
Remember how much he was chasing after that orange cat?
Oh God.
Yeah, the orange cat was supposed to represent, you know, the white female, but you couldn't have him chasing after Carol Danvers because of the age difference. Plus, you know, it's Nick Fury. Nick Fury don't chase after women, at least not on screen, not as far as his public persona. So they had him chasing after the orange blonde cat that eventually supposedly scratched his eye out, even though that's not how he lost his eye, but whatever. It's the Marvel universe.
And hold on. We gotta let you escape that part. Was that not the most ridiculous origin story of how a fucking battle hardened veteran like Nick Fury lost his fucking That's like Captain America accidentally locking himself in a refrigerator for 50 years.
Pretty much.
Like Nick, like how you lock yourself in
Indiana
the car.
Jones stuff.
You know, that's about as dumb as locking yourself in the car.
With the keys. With the keys.
Well, give me the keys.
Charles, can I speak?
Go ahead.
Hold on,
Then
let
we
me
gotta
get
get
this
up.
out. Okay, go ahead.
We gotta go. Okay, we gotta go. We gotta go. You, the Mellow, then Sandog.
My thing is that when they started creeping that crap in the Marvel, the Thor movie I could tolerate it, but I didn't watch. I didn't watch the Eternals. What's the name? What was the Kung Fu dude? Shanghai or Chow or whatever.
Oh, Don Lee. Don Lee, yeah.
Yeah, I mean the best thing.
Shang-Chi.
Yeah, the best scene that they had was the bus scene, and they really could have turned that movie into a damn TV series. I was done with Star Wars after the second movie. I didn't go see the third. The Mando and Grogu gave me hope because the Mandalorian was the first two seasons were pretty good.
Yes.
After that, I tapped out. But the good news is that they didn't get Spider-Man wrong. It's hard to screw up Spider-Man. I don't think Sony would let them screw up Spider-Man. The only thing that bugs me about it is just that it's like Uncle Ben doesn't even exist.
Yeah.
He doesn't kill the master. Yeah, no mention, no pictures, no, suitcase with his initials, no nothing.
Not even a goddamn half wiped ass in there.
Right.
And it's sad because it's like, dude, you're telling me one of the most pivotal people where he got great power comes great responsibility. You gave that to Aunt May. That's about as bad, even though Civil War is still Marvel's greatest movie. Not Civil War, Winter Soldier. Winter Soldier is still Marvel's greatest movie. Winter Soldier is their great single movie, their best single movie ever. Not on making cash, but actually story wise, it's their best movie. How in Civil War, you take away Captain America's fucking pivotal speech about I don't move, you move, and you give it to fucking Sharon Carter, who's a goddamn spy. You give all the slick, pivotal shit. You take it away from the characters that need it or utilizes it for the sake of what?
For the sake of
Diversity, equity, inclusion.
Fuck
If you
yeah,
all
want
that.
equity, if you want equity, guess what? Have a chick sign up for selective service. Get
Yeah.
all the equity you want.
wait, what's
You know,
the video where they show how like the writing on the video says liberal women when it's time for the draft to go to war, and they show them in the housewife outfit with the apron and the bandana
mhm.
around their heads cleaning toilets and
Mhm.
cooking dinner and shit back
Yeah.
to
Everybody's a housewife when it's time to put your ass on the line.
Yep.
it.
That's the
I actually
bad
have
part. It's
a.
like, yeah.
I
But
actually
go
have.
ahead.
Go ahead, I'm done.
Yeah.
I said my piece. I don't want to
Yeah.
overtalk you.
Actually, I have a term for the last three Star Wars movies, and it's real simple. I call it the
Okay.
Ray trilogy.
I
Oh,
am
Because if
not
you
going to
watch,
go see that piece of crap movie.
no,
Oh, wait, wait.
you didn't miss anything with the third movie because he screams Ray in that movie too. That's
Quick
why I call it the
question.
Ray.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Did y'all? Because I'm pretty sure everybody in here saw the He-Man movie.
No, I
I've
didn't
seen
know.
it.
I didn't.
Oh my God!
I ain't see
But
it.
for those who did see it, did y'all understand the message at the end when he fought Skeletor?
Yeah.
That was such a
I've always
great. What kills me is that you have so many men or males
played for them.
who thought that it was some milk toast weak shit. I'm like, no, you don't get it. Just because I have the power to rage out and destroy you doesn't mean that I should. But I will whoop your ass under control.
Yeah, because
Don't
that's what
take
he
my
did.
kindness for weakness.
And he whooped his ass.
Oh my God, he whooped his ass.
He whooped his ass. I mean, he had that ass whooping came piping hot out the oven. Grandpa, I mean, god damn. Like people don't realize certain scenes in there, which is on Prime. I'm gonna do another panel about the He-Man and the esoteric lessons about it. I'll give you one. When the black chick was bossing him around saying either you do this or it's gonna be the end of you, guess what he chose? He chose his destiny. One of the most manliest things you could do as a dude is to choose your destiny when somebody said you may not make it this far.
Oh, when he was
He chose
trying to
his
leave
destiny.
work.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
chose
He
his destiny.
like, bitch, fuck you. I'm out. Excuse my
He
language,
chose his
sorry.
destiny. I mean, we curse a little over here. And shout out to Fantastic Frankie. If there's one nerdy bitch I wish I could marry. Shit. One nerdy chick I wish I could marry. Who actually enjoys comic books, by the way. But
Well, you know
one
what?
chick right there.
Remember, I asked you. I said we should organize a watch party for
Yeah.
that movie because clearly you have people here who haven't seen it, and at this point they're not going to see it because they're getting ready to pull it from theaters.
It's already on Prime.
Yeah, I
We should
usually
do a
wait for
watch
it to come out
party.
to Prime before I
We should
rent
do
it.
a watch party. Host it on like
Yeah.
a. Well, no, you don't have to
Yeah.
do it live. You know,
Yeah.
like this. You can do it,
And I'm gonna tell you why.
online, but not live. Yeah, we should do a watch party because that
The
fucking
only
movie was
part
awesome.
I liked it. But Mello, you want to get in?
Nah, y'all can move past me. I have too many choice words that's probably gonna get your channel back. Especially about Star Wars. Fuck that shit.
We could talk about stuff, and trust me, I've said worse.
We've all said words about Star Wars. Don't feel bad.
I
We all
actually
look
like Star Wars, bro. That shit broke my heart. I'm not gonna lie. To see, first of all, I have so many fucking gripes about that dumbass movie. For one, like I forgot who said it. We was fucking advertised Finn Finally, another fucking Black Jedi, right? I advertised that shit for fucking months. Movie come out. Now we have some type of fucking sand trader that nobody ever seen before in their fucking life. All right, cool, whatever, fine. How the fuck do you end up with Skywalker? Bitch, what have you done to end up with the name fucking Skywalker? That shit is fucking stupid as fuck.
Absolutely
Right?
nothing.
Then what was it? The third movie? Where fucking Palpatine came back and we found out she was a Palpatine? That was the third movie, right?
Yep.
Yep.
What type of fucking ass pull is it that this bitch with no fucking training held back a fucking ship going into orbit and blew it up with force lightning? What type of fucking shit was that?
Yeah, like you said.
What type of
Well,
Disney-fied shit was that where you have to fucking give so many fucking ass pulls just because it's a fucking female character?
Yep.
And by the way, if she was a Jedi, wouldn't Force lightning be against the Jedi Order?
Yep. Exactly.
Depends on the
I
lightning.
think they were.
There are
Not
different.
necessarily.
think
There's
that
two
they
different
were
kinds of lightning. There's Sith lightning and there's just regular fucking force lightning. It's
Yeah,
different.
yeah. There are different forms of lightning, so that varies.
But even
Maybe,
still,
maybe
it's the fact that she pulled the shit off. That's the fucking ass pull I'm talking about. Cause how the fuck did she even know how to do that?
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah. And
Again, I think that they chickened out. I think ultimately she was supposed to be the villain. That's why she was able to do everything she was able to do from the beginning. Because if you go into Star Wars lore, right, Palpatine at the end of Return of the Jedi transferred his body into clones. Because Palpatine had clones of himself or different versions of himself that he could put his life force into. And I think originally we were supposed to believe that Rey was a protagonist, but she will only be revealed to be a Palpatine, right? And then that will be how Kylo Ren would then redeem himself. That's just my theory. That's just my guess, right? But it's my theory or my guess that the character was that way because she was supposed to have been Palpatine the entire time.
Now, Smoke. Now that you bring up Kylo Ren, I wasn't even ready to talk about his bitch ass. But
Yeah.
how the fuck do you come from a line of Skywalkers? Your grandfather was Darth Vader, and you turn out to be such a bitch. You got trained by your fucking uncle Luke
Yep.
Skywalker, and you turned out to be a complete bitch. Like I don't understand.
Well, I'll answer
Because
that
that,
because the
like, I
movie.
could have a, we could have another
In
talk
Kylo
on
Ren's
that. But
defense,
the
that
thing
really wasn't
is
Kylo
that
Ren's fault. It was the
when
movie.
you get
Go
to
ahead.
black people and geekdom, and guys, I'm so sorry I'm late. I don't know what the hell happened to my math, but again, it's a mixed bag of thing because initially, right, this was a space that we were pushed out of. So if you go back in time for comic books, one of your first black superheroes was a guy by the name of Lion Man. And Lion Man was very popular amongst black youth, right? Sold well, did well, but white publishers, the white media at the time, did everything they could to bury the character, right? So we were kind of not only we were pushed out of the nation's history, and we were also pushed out of the nation's myth telling, right? So they you wanted the face of America or the narrative of America to be a certain thing, and so there's our history and how we came to be in America goes against the narrative and the national myth that America likes to tell, right? So this is why it was very difficult, not only in speculative media, but that's why it was also difficult for us to be in sports, right? And so think about it, right? You got Adolf Hitler, white supremacy all over the place, right? And who goes and beats up the Germans? Right? You know what I'm saying?
Yo,
You would get a black male boxer who would then go on and dominate the Olympics for the United States, right? So, these, so part of that is how we were pushed out of spaces. And so once you kind of get pushed out of those spaces, you develop other ideas, right? So when I was younger, a lot of black men, right, instead of comic books and stuff like that or whatever, a lot of guys will say, they would gravitate towards the sports, the music, fashion and everything else because there was a time where or maybe even still today, that if you were in this space, you were engaged in white boy activities, right? So dudes, for the most part, will find certain things cool here and there about anime, video games, right? Most black dudes, they're playing Madden, right? They're playing NBA 2K, right? They're not in there playing Tekken or Final Fantasy 7 or, like I said, or those types of things. And so it's a mixture of, I believe that in the beginning we will be pushed out, right? Same thing like our history, right? So when you look at our history in American history, there's no history in the United States more patriotic than what you would call Black American history. But the thing is that, like I said, it gives the American myth, in a sense, a bit of a black eye. And so there are people out there that don't want to see that, right? So there are people out there that they don't want to see, like, and this is real, like Benjamin Davis, right? So you got a guy who went to West Point and nobody talked to him for 4 years because he was black, right? So it's I think that there's one aspect of it where we are a hindrance to the narrative of America, and then you got this new aspect of it with kind of like this intersectional type stuff, which is again, I don't agree with it. I don't know necessarily where that comes from, but for us, in order for us to get our speculative media off the ground, right, we will have to put our money where our mouth is, right, and understand that something is not going to happen overnight, or technically it can happen overnight because Black Americans are the ones that have created American culture. We're the ones that determine cool. We have $2 trillion of spending power, right? So if Black people bought Black Panther comics the way we bought sneakers or certain other things, hell, the MCU would have started and ended with Black Panther, right? Because again, money talks and bullshit walks, right? You have a thing of us being pushed out of the space, and then over time, us having a lack of interest in such a space, right? Because there are many black creators that are out there, right? You got Black Sands, you got Godhood Comics, you got Hellspawn Cosplay, you got Cloudy McDoom. So you got a whole bunch of people that are out there, saying that's making stuff, but it would be up to us to take our stuff and uplift it instead of being drawn to it only when there's a major label to it. Because, man, when Black Panther came out, me and Black America had a hate fest because, again, I remember being alone reading all of this stuff. Like I said, telling me that I was in white boy activity, right? And it was white dudes that got me to even read Black Panther because again, your ultimate black audience wasn't even into it prior to it being in the films, right? So prior to it being in the films, I went to a black college in Huntsville, Alabama, and I'll never forget when Blade dropped. I walked in that movie theater and I was like, man, you think Spider-Man is going to be in this? You think we're going to see Tombstone? Well, Blade is one of the Midnight Suns. You think Doctor Strange is going to show up? Crickets. Everybody's like, yo, what the hell are you talking about? I was like, you don't know who Blade is? This is a Marvel comic book character, right? Then we go into the movies, and then once we come out, some people will go on and ask me questions or whatever, right? But it was you know what I'm saying? So if you're kind of a black geek or a black nerd, you're kind of caught between a rock and a hard place because your community will come out, but sad and most unfortunately, they're only going to come out when they see DC or Marvel or something mainstream attached to it. And for whatever reason, the speculative part of, speculative media like fantasy and all of that stuff, it doesn't get supported by us on a consistent basis unless it's something that's already proven. And so that's something unfortunate about our community. And that's why it's hard to get this stuff off the ground. And then our creators don't have that same infrastructure, right? Like art houses, VF effects, and all of that other kind of stuff, right? Because again, that's not the kind of media we get behind. So like even when Tyler Perry, when he first became famous, one of the things I was looking for out of Tyler Perry was black science fiction. Tyler Perry said, I'm a Trekkie and I want to make black science fiction. And I'm certain the reason why Tyler Perry doesn't make it is because he more than likely knows, because he's a businessman, that we were not going to show up for it, right? We weren't going to get up and show up for it. Not on a scale, um, not on a scale to get it off the ground or for him to kind of make money off of it in mass. So I just think that, for us with the speculative media in this day and age, man, if we want to get our characters off the ground, if we want our own stories told and everything else, fam, we're gonna have to simply put our money where, like I said, we have to put our money where our mouth is, right? So the next time they drop Static Shock comic books, right? If you want that Static Shock movie, Static Shock better sell 2 million copies a month.
But it won't though, and that's the problem.
So
Because a lot of, like I
it
was
better
saying the
sell
last
2 million
time,
copies a month. So I get the part. I get the part about representation and everything else, but I promise you, that's the beautiful thing about capitalism is that people respond. People respond to money, right? So when you look at Disney, I bet you Disney is going to fix Star Wars, right? I bet because they didn't spend billions of dollars on it for it not to, like I said, again, for it not to make money, right? That they're pivoting on the MCU because they didn't spend billions of dollars on it, again, not to make money, right? And so sad and most unfortunate, right, for us, in the black spaces of this, right? These were mediums that were supported by young heterosexual white men for decades, right? So this was a space that they like I said, this was a space that they occupied and that they kept going. And that's the core fan base and that's the core demographic, right? And again, because we don't put our money in that direction. Shit, I think prior to the film, I don't even know about now, but Black Panther used to sell only 20 to 35,000 copies, right? When you would put Black Panther out. So in order for a comic book to be successful, it needs to sell 100,000 copies nationwide. So for Black America to get 100,000 copies of Green Lantern John Stewart, 100,000 copies of Black Panther, 100,000 copies of Storm, if she has single issues put out, that's not difficult for us to do. But the thing is that a lot of the people who gripe and complain about representation, when they do get the representation, they don't put their money where their mouth is, right? So
and
when
that's
you look at the Marvel films, right? It underperformed because the people who complained about it or who would want that kind of representation, they didn't come out. Like I said, they didn't come out and do it. And my thing will always be, I have no empathy for y'all because there was something called the Snyderverse. And when the Snyderverse came out, y'all got on the internet and y'all peed on it. You peed on it. You dumped on it. It's too dark. It's too violent. There aren't enough jokes. It's not colorful. It's not like Marvel. And I remember saying this since BVS came out in 2016 to all of my male friends before I met you guys in the space. I said, all right, it's cool that you got lightning in the bottle and people like going to the Marvel films. But here's the thing, and I told men this. You, your wife, your mother, your daughter, your sister, and your cat are not supposed to like the same shit. Y'all are not supposed to like it. So I'll never forget me and my wife. My wife sees BVS, my wife sees Captain America Civil War. And both those films have similar themes, similar story beats, right? And my wife was like, oh, Marvel did it again. They knocked it out of the park with Civil War. And I was like, but it borrowed a lot from BVS. And my wife said, you like that dark stuff. You like all mystery and connecting the dots, and you know, this came from American history. This was the day JFK died, or this was Christian symbolism for the death of Christ and all that. My wife was like, when I go to the movies, I just want to go. I just want to go, have fun, and all that stuff and everything else. So a lot of things that certain comic book fans or a type of fan used to get out of these mediums, once you bring everybody into it, once something has mass appeal, that demands certain levels of diversity and inclusion that you may not want in this medium. Right? And I told men that until I was blue in the damn face after Man of Steel and after Batman v Superman, that you, your wife, your dog, your cat, and your kids are not supposed to like the same stuff. Right? And the argument was that Marvel was better because everybody liked it. And and now that you have it, now that everybody likes it, right? You don't even enjoy it anymore, right? Because for everybody to like it, you have to change what the medium is, right? Everybody's not. Come on, fam. Since when? When have you seen a whole army of certain types of people reading Daredevil comics, reading Punisher comics? Right? So once you kind of bring in this mass audience, by nature, you're going to change what the art is.
Yeah.
Right? Sandog is quiet.
Yeah. Yep.
Go
So
ahead.
yeah.
ABM. What you about to say?
Hey, can you hear me? Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Now, what were you about to say, ABM?
Oh no, I was gonna say because I wanted to say about the guy. He said they made Kylo Ren a
Can you
bitch,
hear
and
him,
they made
Charles?
Kylo Ren a bitch. Well, that's because they made Darth Vader a bitch. I mean, not Darth Vader, but Anakin. They made Anakin a
Whoa.
bitch.
I
You
was
know what I
about to
mean?
say,
Because
yo
I
said
was
Darth
really
Vader
excited.
already.
I was really excited when they came out with these new Star
Can
Wars
you hear
movies
AB
back in the day.
Media? Can you hear him?
Can you hear me? I am. Can y'all hear me?
Yep, you're good to go. Yep, you're good to go.
Okay. So I was really excited when they came out with these new Star Wars movies because, like a lot of people, I wanted to know, okay, where did Darth Vader come from, right? Because when you watch the original Star Wars movies, Darth Vader was the best thing about the fucking movie, right? So I'm like, okay, cool. Now we're going to get to see where Darth Vader really came from, and then come to find out, Darth Vader became because he was upset about a bitch. Some broad died, and that is this nigga lost his mind. Like that's the best you can give us. You couldn't give us no. That's the best backstory you could give us. This menace to the universe, Darth Vader came about because a bitch died. Like man, get the fuck out of here.
Yes. Yes.
That shit
Yes.
was
Pause.
so fucking
Yes.
corny.
Wait a
So
minute.
But
I
you
was
have to
done.
Hold
understand.
on.
You
Pause.
have
Time out. For
you
one,
have to understand.
she ain't died till after you became Darth Vader, right? I ain't gonna let you disrespect my
But it
man
all
Vader like that.
started
But
there.
hold on, hold on,
Palpatine.
hold
It
on, hold
all
on, hold
started with
on.
Palpatine and him manipulating her. Like he kind of like warned him that was about to happen. It all started with that. You know what I'm saying? And see me, I was done with it after that. I was
You
not
saying it
excited
all
about
started with
no
that, but
Star
the build
Wars.
up to I'm gonna let you go ahead. Go ahead. You finish your point.
I was not excited about no Star Wars after that. I'm like, yo, this is bullshit. I enjoyed the books way better. I don't want to spend no more money on movies. I'm not interested in no movies. I'll grab the books because the books are way better. And Disney just does this the same way Marvel does it. They have to go and tweak these stories for whatever their reason it is. I can never understand why they do this. Marvel does the same shit. You can't just take the story that's already there and just turn it into a movie. You have to tweak this stupid shit, and then you come up with shit that just doesn't work. You know what I'm saying? And now you got to. So what you going to do? You're going to go back and you're going to rehash everything again. I mean, to me, they didn't fuck Star Wars up. Just my
Yeah.
humble opinion. They didn't
But
fucked
you
it
know
up.
what,
I'd rather just
AB?
buy a book.
So I'm not going to
I knew
disagree
they
with you with
fucked it
that.
up once. You know, AB. I knew that they fucked it up once. Once they said, because remember all the books that you and I grew up reading. And once Disney threw a lot of that stuff out saying it's no longer canon, I knew exactly what was going to happen. Because remember, AB, when they started Star Wars, when they started the sequels, they said a lot of the stuff that we read, like Heir to the Empire and all that, they threw it all out, bro. Knights of the Old Republic, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Revan,
Yeah.
they threw it all out and said we're gonna do whatever we want to do with it now. So it's no longer canon; it's just legend.
Oh wow.
Yep. Yeah. So, and going back to my earlier point when it said about that's why you see like all this like social media uproar about like like anime tropes and whatnot because they've devalued a lot of the canon of like a lot of Western IPs. They want to start doing the same thing with a lot of like Eastern IPs. You know what I mean? They want to start doing the same thing. And they're starting to run into like a lot more resistance because like I said, because people have seen the fuckery that's going on with Halo and Star Wars and Marvel and DC and Avatar: Last Airbender and stuff like that. They're just like nah, fuck that, nah. You are complaining about the tropes because you want to try to change it up, on some like political agenda shit. You know what I mean? Like you don't actually you don't actually have a problem with these tropes. You just want to like, or should I say, you only want to call yourself trying to infiltrate, the anime and manga space because it's a popular male hobby. That's the only reason why you even pretend to like it in the first place. You wouldn't like it for any
So
other reason.
that's one of the reasons why. If you look at X Mello when we did security for BlurCon, not saying that me and Mello complaining about scantily dressed women, but this is the
Not
part. At
complaining
some
about a
point,
damn thing.
not no 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 no. This is my only complaint. One, don't talk to me about subject matter that I spent 40 years reading. Two, I get it. You want to look fine and sexy, but guess what? Don't change it up because it say, oh, this is sexist. Because there are certain characters that are going to be traditionally male and traditionally brave and traditionally fast and strong. Sorry, that's just part of the system. Now, when it's time for women to say, okay, this woman's going to lose because of X, Y, and Z, you're not ready to take those L's. And when
Yeah.
we actually think about it, and this is what I said about it. What the hell does twerking have to do with comic book? I'm just asking for a friend.
Yeah.
Once again, not really complaining, but let me ask you something. We had us do security for the anime and twerk. You could have just said we just had twerking. Well, why is it that you have to bring twerking in every goddamn thing and every goddamn aspect that originally you didn't like this genre?
Yeah.
You gotta feminize it or you gotta slut it up. Think about it. Hip hop, when I remember growing up, was gritty to the motherfucker. Now it's just a slut walk talk.
Yep.
You allow too many people to come into fucking familiar territory and disgrace it. There's an old saying when you got on the mat. If you get on the mat, you're fair game. If this is the crazy part. Females don't listen to the lyrics. Females just want to know, okay, who's shitting on who? How can I shit on this? It's like, when there's very few females, not saying there aren't, who really enjoy the genre and buy the books and have collections. The others, they might get a Hello Kitty now and again, but you're not going through like, okay, you're not going to go through the same stress and bombardment as what that young black kid who had to go through the 80s and 90s reading fucking Chris Claremont.
Yep.
Oh, what the fuck is that? No, you ain't had to fucking deal with this shit.
Yep.
You ain't had
And
to go with those Yu cards.
yep. And
Go
and
ahead.
There's this woman on the Instagram called Edie Sykes. She writes like a lot of fantasy books and whatnot. She described it best. Like, there's a difference between joining the hobby and changing the hobby. And she basically says, what the men have a problem with nowadays. It's not the joining the hobby part. It's the trying to fundamentally change the hobby. It's disrespecting the lore, so to speak. You know what I mean? That's what pisses the male fans off. Is when you come in trying to, like you said, these ass pull retcons, these declaring old stories, non-canon and stuff like that. Like, that's the problem.
I'm going to tell you what I'm done. I'm damn near done with X-Men when they changed the fucking they retcon fucking Nightcrawler's origin. Mystique's now his father, not his mother. I was like, you motherfuckers in Marvel really like losing money, right? Like, I mean, y'all just retarded.
Yep. Exactly. And going back to what I said before, when it comes to, like, the anime space and whatnot, that's also why they're always complaining about all the sections and whatnot. Is because, like, not only are there, like, a lot of successful female authors when it comes to, like, anime and manga and stuff, but also too, like, they're better at writing, like, what you call overpowered female characters, because there's always some type of, like, interesting quirk or whatnot that they have, to offset how powerful they are. They're not just they know how to write powerful female characters without becoming like Mary Sue's, So that's another reason why they want to always complaining about all the quote unquote misogyny in anime and stuff like that in mangas, because, again, like, when you realize the fact that these people, they're just not that talented, first of all, and number two, it's like what Nameless said, they're just there to promote a lot of this, like, this ESG score crap, which ironically destroyed the probability of a lot of major Western IPs in the first place. So it's like, again, it's like you join the hobby, but you don't like what's going on. But then instead of just leaving, you want to, like, try to change up everything about it. I'm like, it doesn't work like that.
Look at Chicago, look at San Francisco. Not the same at all. Not the same.
Oh. See, somebody let's talk about the sports guys. But yeah, that's the problem that you have right now. Like, this conundrum where it's like, they don't, or should I say, they pretend to like, geeky hobbies and whatnot, not because they actually appreciate,
If a man
the
is having
stories and
sex with a
whatnot.
woman without the intention of having kids, that makes him gay. At least that's
Okay.
what this man said. It's why as soon as we got together, like, she's off birth control. As soon as
she got married, yeah.
As soon as we're together, it's like no birth control,
Hello?
nothing, because
Can you
I'm
guys
not
hear me?
gonna have gay sex. I beg your pardon.
Yeah, I can hear you.
And, like, gay sex
Yeah,
is
we
more
can
than
hear you.
just
I
Somebody
hear you, but I also hear other stuff in the background.
I think that might be you, Admiral Smoke, or you. Yeah. Okay, there we go. But yeah, like, that's the conundrum that we're running into right now when it comes to, like, anime and manga and stuff like that. Because much like video games, and like I said before that, Star Wars and Marvel and DC, it's like you're having a crisis where you have these popular male hobbies, these popular male IPs are being infiltrated by people who don't respect the lore and don't respect what goes into, like, the storytelling, and they just want to hop on it because it's popular. And as the saying goes, something that appeals to everyone appeals to no one. And it's like the fact that they're trying to appeal to everyone is exactly why they keep running these IPs into the ground. Like, it's like these people, they just refuse to learn the lesson. It's like, if something isn't broke, don't fix it. Like, stop trying to appeal to everyone. Like, they're popular because, or to put it another way, they're popular because they don't appeal to everyone. So. But anyways, y'all, I actually do have to hop on after here, though. Thanks, Charles, for having me up here. I'll talk to you guys later. All right, peace.
To stand before you
That's the
as we celebrate the 10th.
I would go so far as to say I'm gonna switch gears a little bit. I would go to so far as to say that Marvel is really at a do or die point with Doomsday. They're gonna have to nail Doomsday, and if they
I
don't, they done. They're cooked.
I swear to God, they screwed up when they brought back Robert Downey Jr. When they, I mean, you got Henry Cavill just sitting there,
Hey,
just
can we
sitting there.
somebody do something about the background noise?
It ain't me.
What you think them shooters on the ground for? What you think we taking trips out of town for? But you too busy playing on my down for. Bitch, come outside, we not gonna touch you. Bitch.
Yeah,
Hey,
it's not
Sand
gonna.
Dog, is that you?
Come outside, we not gonna jump you the fuck up. Bitch, come outside, what you scared? Bitch, come outside, we right here. Baby. Just woke up from father broke in his pussy state. Walk around like his pussy clean. If you got him on lock, then why he calling me? Put the mat to his face, what that pussy need. Get that working for them pound. Oh no, I'm older, I'm 30. When I see niggas my age still acting like that, it is like, grow the fuck up. See, but then it's like, nigga, you rolled your flag up. You a bitch. Because why you roll your flag up, my nigga? You got jumped into this shit, and then you rolled your flag up because you 30? Nah, nigga, gangbang. Nigga, fuck is you talking about? Trip. At this point, stand on it, bro. At this point, you got jumped. You let niggas beat you up when you was 18, right? You let niggas beat you up. You had a good life coming up, bro. You an affluent nigga, and you let niggas beat you up at college, bro. That's what happened. I'm not even exaggerating. That's what happened. Now you throwing up the set, right? Okay. Now you at the party throwing up the hood. Gang bang, got the colors
Hey,
on.
Sand Dog, I think you got the
Tripping on
background
niggas.
noise, bro.
Gang banging, right? You tripping. You on the
He must have switched up, but I thought he was playing something for the other head. But it's like it's funny when you go back into these sectors. Like Young Mello would tell you, I'm not complaining, but it's like everything doesn't have to be sexy. I respect, sometimes you want to sexy it up, it's cool, but do you really like the material? Or you just like the fact that you can change it, like Kev said. And I think it's one of those things where I think that when we look at the genres we grew up on, like Transformers, Star Wars, manga, anime, you know, y'all already know my feelings of this last Superman fucking movie was like, yo, he did not look super. I don't give a fuck what you tell me. Oh, he's this powerful. No offense to your generation, Mello. I think a lot of motherfuckers really need to read the book and follow their characters because this whole powerful shit, just because you're powerful doesn't mean you're a good character.
Man of Steel is better.
Man of Steel was a fucking cinema classic, okay? You gave us this weak, unsure of himself. All right, let me ask you guys this. When the fuck would Clark Kent argue with Lois Lane over saving lives no matter what country those lives may live in?
Never.
Does, does that seem out of character to that man?
Yep.
ABM, Mello, AB?
Nah, I agree.
One of the modern mythologies of heroism, You gonna make him bitch up he had to be saved by Lois? And this is this white soy boy. I gotta destroy the big muscle guy. You give him a suit that looks like he went to Party City before he went to go rescue people. And you didn't think that not having Henry Cavill would actually put credence and validity to your fucking to your fucking to your subject matter. I want everybody to do yourself a favor this weekend, since they're both on HBO Max. Look at Man of Steel, and then go look at Superman 2025.
Actually, Superman.
I'm not rewatching that movie. That shit was ass.
Superman 2025 is free on Prime.
Let me put it to you this way, right? When my boy Henry Cavill got removed from the role, and you had a chance to do something Marvel hasn't done, was man it up, because you had The Rock and Black Adam, and Black Adam was tough. I don't care what nobody said. That movie was tough.
Yeah.
The same people who hated Black Adam didn't like they loved Superman 2025. And I got to look at you like a soy boy because it was ultra manly and ultra masculine. Well, I think it's stupid. Yes, Superman would save a dog, but guess what? He's fighting a fucking kaiju. A dog would know to get the fuck out the way. Y'all just did it because, we got to make sure all the soy boys and all the girls know that he still saves people. There's a reason why it was so prominent about the fight between him and Zod. What happens? That's just one godlike being coming to your planet.
What happens when an army of them come?
What happens when fucking Darkseid invades your whole fucking planet? And then, Avengers 1 was better. You do know the Avengers let people die. I want you to think about this shit, right? All the fuck ups of the Avengers were damn near Tony Stark's fucking reasons. And people say, well, Tony Stark's deleted. No, anybody who read a goddamn book know that Tony Stark never really was the leader of the Avengers. As long as there was a nigga named Captain America, he was never going to be the leader of the Avengers. That's why Civil War happened in the comics. When he had the mighty Avengers, guess what? He fucked up, and Norman Osborn took over S.H.I.E.L.D. and named it Hammer. When he had the West Coast Avengers, because he had a bug up his ass, guess how long that shit lasted? The same nigga who had Demon in a Bottle and Iron Wars, you want him as the leader of the Avengers. Wait a minute. Why don't we have Captain America lead? You don't want the nigga who fucking kicked Nazi ass for like 4 years to be the leader of your team. That shows you the stupidity of America right now. It's the same type of niggas who argue you can't call yourself an alpha man because you got muscles and you're in shape and you're the fuck up.
Who said that dumb shit?
I'll point you in the direction of my Instagram. And of course, it was said by a guy who looked like his personal trainer needed a personal trainer. But once again, it's these soy boy ass narratives that come in. And I'm sorry, like, you got too many times. I see if you're a well-trained assassin, you can handle yourself. But you got too many movies of these chicks who got no fighting skills, no powers, just whooping men's asses. My name's Ray. I've never seen what a fucking lightsaber looked like in my life, but I'm trained by the greatest Jedi of all time, and I can hold my own with this nigga.
And I flip out of the air in the third movie.
And then here's the worst part. The movie's only like chronologically, a week old from from the first one to from the third week or 2 weeks.
Well,
Years.
it goes back to what you were saying about the conventions and the cons. The one of the problems with the so-called blurred community or nerd community is you can't wait to let women come in and take over. You need that shit. This is why they didn't recast T'Challa in the first place. They went straight to Shuri,
Yep.
which is something nobody asked for.
Nope. And if you look at the comics, Shuri was only Black Panther for a cup of coffee.
She was only there for a few issues.
Yeah. And died.
Because they knew it didn't work.
And then she died doing it.
And on top of that, you allow Marvel to shoehorn Riri Williams into shit. Nobody likes Riri Williams.
Nobody. Black girl magic. I do
She
like her
has
AI.
no business being in that fucking movie in any capacity.
No connection. Even though I will say this, watching her series, I do like the girl who's her AI. Good God, she could wear the fuck out of that red dress.
Fuck all that. You know what I mean? And see, Charles, I'm gonna have to say this. That's where black men fuck up right there.
Yep.
If this bitch is halfway attractive,
It's always
niggas
a
will
slide.
allow all the fuck shit in the world.
It's all the
It
slide.
never fucking fails. So it's like I was saying the other night. All it takes is from some shit. She's not really into the genre, but she knows she could come in scantily dressed and she'll get all the clicks, all the views, all the money, and she's here to extract from the genre.
And
You're
God
here to
forbid,
exploit the genre.
and
You
God
don't
forbid, she
add
got
to
an
the damn
OnlyFans.
genre.
God forbid, she got an OnlyFans or a private Snapchat. It's nice to look at chicks, but it's like at the same time, I'm gonna tell you how bullshit it was. Matter of fact, you just reminded me. I'm gonna tell you how bullshit it was. And if Mello come back up, he'll tell you. They had a anime and twerk, session in this room, right? They want us to hold guard for the guys not staring if they're not participating. And I'm thinking to
What this is at
myself,
BlurCon? This at
yeah,
BlurCon this year?
this was at
Okay.
BlurCon a few years ago, the anime and twerk shit. They wanted to keep the guys who were not participating out. And I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute. One, what does twerking have to do with anime, comics, and gaming? Two, what if the men had something that we told them the females got to stay out? Think about that. And I'm telling dude, like, you gotta be very careful about that because hey, somebody can really go up and say, hey, I just want to see what's going on. They said I can't join because I'm not participating. I think that's sexist, or somebody can put that up there. But once again, like you said, I don't mind looking at you, but at the same time, what does twerking have to do with this shit? Because
Not
now,
a damn thing.
when you want to infiltrate certain shit, because geekdom also deals with robotics, building cars, fixing weapons, collecting knives. There's a geekdom to it. So when you invite people who are not part of that structure, you invite a lot of bullshit with it. And then now, like you said, they put Sherry in it because here you go now. Instead of saying we need to recast, which Chadwick Boseman and his family said recast if anything happens to me, you get the god awful Wakanda forever. Then you bring another beloved character of masculinity in the thing called Namor the Submariner, who has almost very little to do with Wakanda, except for the few times him and Black Panther fought. He's really a fucking Fantastic Four guy.
They just fucking y'all comic book shit up all the way around. Y'all should boycott this shit.
I've been the only comic book movie I've seen in the last what 2 years has been
You
Spider
seen
Man.
that Superman just came out? Well, what about that
Well,
Superman?
Superman was
You
like
went to the
last
Superman
year,
too.
the Superman one, and I'm like, I'm so pissed at how that shit went because he's complaining with Lex Luthor. You're lock the nigga up. Nobody gives a fuck. This nigga started a fucking black hole. Lock the nigga up. You ain't gotta explain shit to him. Now you got James Gunn.
Lex, we you done bad, Lex, and we tired of your bullshit. We gotta put you in the timeout. We gotta explain it to you.
Now you gotta think about it, right? You got James Gunn, who can't make a single superhero movie to save his life. That's why he had all the other heroes in. And you had to make Superman every time he tried to be Superman, he needed help. That's not fucking super. But going back to our culture, we don't give a shit because we just want representation. We could have a bug-eyed nigga doing the same shit they did in fucking 1920s. What would they call it? Birth of a Nation. As long as I see somebody who look black as me on there, I don't care how they show them. But at the same time, when we had Family Matters, oh, Eddie could get the girl, even though in real life Eddie Winslow like some Transformers. But I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm messing up the
What, he's like Malik Yoba?
He likes something that has more than meets the eye. Transformers. He got meat between her
Oh
thighs.
damn. Man, he's like Malik Yoba. Oh shit. Damn.
Hollywood
He
is
don't know
weird.
what he don't know what he want. He don't know what he want to use it for.
I'm pretty sure when in Sitting in the Dark he dressed all you hear. But and may they put that bastard on a side note underneath the jail for what she did. He did. Um I'm just looking at it from a genre aspect, black creators, and this pains me a lot. It's almost like you can't depend upon your own people to be successful. Does anybody agree or disagree?
I agree. It's getting pathetic.
It's and this is just on a business aspect. Anybody else is going to pay you top dollar. Your people are going to try to nickel and dime you. And think about it. You want a guy who got $1 billion in their own studio like Tyler Perry to make black sci-fi when all you want to see is the same old nigga shit you can walk outside your door and take a gander at. That's all the fuck you really want to see. No creativity. We want the boys in the hood shit. And that's it. Anybody else want to say anything?
I'm down for a good crime saga. I don't knock a good crime saga if it's good. I think when you look at 50 and he does his shit, I think 50 his shit gets kind of stale because that's all he ever does is the gangster shit. Um, I didn't really like Snowfall because I don't like, and there's no disrespect to British actors, but it's like you try to act like ghetto American and it just don't come off good. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
like Lorenz Tate, for example. I was watching an interview with him when he was talking about how he got when he got the part for O-Dub, and he was talking about, I was a Disney kid. I wasn't no street kid out in the street and shit, but I had cousins. So that's why Lorenz Tate was able to pull it off. Versus the British actors who you don't know ghetto America. So you cast them for these parts and it just don't come off right. And you know what I mean? Idris Elba did Stringer
Yeah.
Bell, and that was pretty good because he wasn't the main character. He didn't
Yeah.
define the show. You know what I'm saying? So I don't have a problem with crime sagas if they're good. I think my issue today is most people just want tits and ass.
Yeah.
It's just tits and ass, and you have to shoehorn tits and ass into every fucking thing, every single fucking thing,
It gets
and
old
it
real quick.
doesn't work. And it's like the one thing that I did want to see a little tits and ass was Captain Marvel, because I knew that stud dyke version wasn't going to work.
Nope.
You know what I'm saying? Like, no disrespect, but I'm just saying, like, see, that's not going to work. She got the lesbian haircut and shit. And I'm like, this ain't going to work. I thought thigh-high boots Captain Marvel would have worked better.
Yeah.
At least motherfuckers would have saw something attractive. But, you know what I mean? You gave them lesbian stud Captain Marvel, and it's like, dude, this ain't going to fucking work. And it didn't work.
And it failed miserably.
It's like when it calls for tits and ass, they never give it to us. But you shoehorn it in everything else. Like they can't wait. Everything they have to shoehorn ass and tits in it. Everything. And it gets redundant and it gets played.
It gets very played because it's like an overabundance of such. It's like, how can you say it when it's like it's no thrill. It's no thrill. No
It's like
thrill.
how I was saying the other day when I said these chicks come to these cons, they never dress up like Jubilee. Because Jubilee was never drawn sexy. You know what I'm saying? She wasn't drawn that way. It's always Storm. That's who they want to be because Storm was drawn sexy.
Yeah.
So again, it gets stale when everybody is doing Storm, or everybody wants to put on the Gwen Stacy Spider Girl suit. You feel me? So you can show how big your ass is and that type of. I mean, it just gets redundant. It's the same shit over and over again.
It's like you turn Comic-Con into like basically a strip joint. And there's some things I'll be looking and I'll be like, damn, shorty, I like what you wearing, but like, damn, like there's kids out here. Well, you got to tell a couple of chicks tone it down because you got your whole cheeks out. I get it. That's how some characters dress, you know. But there's no modesty anymore. Mm-mm-mm.
And that's not the genre. The genre is not just tits and ass. It's kind of like rap music. You did the
Yeah.
same exact shit to rap music. You made the female rapper nothing but tits and ass. So you take all of the artistry out of it. So there's no more Lauryn Hill. There's no more MC Lights. There's no more Queen Latifah. It's no more Bahamadia.
Nope.
It's just tits and ass. It's BBLs.
Yeah.
So you wonder why rap has fell off, hip hop has fell off. What was it last year? They were saying it's the first time in like 20 years that a rap song didn't reach number one. Yeah, because
Yeah,
you have killed the fucking genre. You've killed
yeah.
it.
You just gave a bunch of untalented hacks the microphone, and what happened? Oh shit. We can't enjoy this anymore. It's like pro wrestling. The people you should put over, you don't. Oh my god. What happened? Nah, it's the fact of the matter is this. You gotta cater to your fans who brought you in the joint. If you're not gonna do it, then guess what's gonna happen? You're gonna lose your supporting base. And when you lose that supporting base, it's hard to get back up to your foundations again. Look what they had to do with Spider Man. You had to go back and make him a man. You had to make that a very manly movie. Because if you don't, there's a lot of people who fucks with Spider Man heavily. You gotta get your shit in order. Stop killing our characters, man. Shit. Everybody dipping out, so shoot. I'm gonna hit you up later. I'm gonna go grab a cigar. Don't forget to hit the Cash App. I'm gonna grab a cigar, get me a bottle, and we're gonna be out of this joint. Whoo! This is a classic. Thanks for everybody joining in. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Let me know what you thought about it. Hopefully you enjoyed this. If anybody want to hit me up for more ideas and want me to talk about something, hit me up on the messenger, email, and if you got my number, text or call. Whoo! We out.